which quarterback situations, which teams, intrigue you, excite you? Your insight leads you to what? What are your spotlighting here entering the 2024 season?
Well, I'm really excited to see Sam Darnold, I think, finally in a good situation. Stats are stats, numbers are numbers, so you can't tweak it. But I think it's hard to argue. He's been in tough spot after tough spot after tough spot.
It's no doubt.
Like kind of impossible to succeed type spots. And this last year, essentially redshirting, going to San Francisco, being for the first time in his career, and I'll go back to high school because I've known him since then. This last season was the first time he was in a locker room full of winners, led by a front office who's a bunch of winners. It wasn't like that in Carolina. It wasn't like that in New York. It honestly wasn't like that at USC or at San Clemente High School, right? So this was his first exposure to what winning looks like. And I've played on a lot of teams, and there are teams where you go in and it's not a bunch of winners. And I've been on teams where we got a chance to win it. And so I think that context last year, now enter a new locker room, Kevin O'Connell, some great pieces obviously in that huddle with him, and some coaches who've won. And I'm just excited to see him in that situation, and my expectations are really high.
Now what quantify them? What do you mean? What expectations or what? Like, you think this Vikings team can make the playoffs with Sam Darnold at the controls? Because that is definitely an outlier opinion.
Yeah, that would not be the point, especially because the NFC North has just got real good real quick.
No question.
real good real quick. And if you look at their schedule, it's tough. They're non-conference. I mean, they got the Jets. They got some really good games. But what do they need to do to win the playoff or to make the playoffs, right? So they've got to come in first or second in their division. And so when I look at the matchups there in that division and what Sam can create, Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins had a lot of success together.
Yes, they did.
And Kevin O'Connell in his time with Matthew Stafford had a lot of success together, and even Jared Goff. The way I look at it is he hasn't really had somebody with this mobility. Sam is more on the upper end of mobility at quarterbacks. And so how does a creative mind like Kevin O'Connell use that mobility, and how do they create more opportunities for all these pass catchers? Because it's not just Justin Jefferson. They got Hawkinson coming back. They now add the piece of Aaron Jones. And so I think this is a playoff caliber team for sure. And I think Sam is put in a position here to make a run for, I know he doesn't have personal goal aspirations, but this is a comeback player of the year type setup heading into this year.
Wow. Hey man, last year you were like, when Burrow went down, you're like, don't sleep on the Bengals. And I
sound crazy sometimes, but I'm usually not wrong. And in fact, I got smoked one time on social media.
How so?
Because somebody from Sports Illustrated was doing an article on Bo Nix, and it was after his freshman year, I think. And
in Auburn?
At Auburn.
Okay.
And I was bullish on Bo Nix and the potential. And so somebody says, well, what's the ceiling? And I was misquoted a little bit, but they said, what's the ceiling? And I go, this is like a top 10 pick ceiling, which sounded bananas at the time. And so they put that on social media.
Close, though.
I missed it by 2, my bad. And they quoted me as saying number 1 pick, and then just the comment section was hysterical. And it's like, I can't go back far enough to find that post, but I sound crazy at times, but I'm usually not wrong.
Well, I'll give you the same advice I give TJ Jefferson, who's right behind you. Don't read the comment section.
Yeah.
Life is so much better when you don't read the comments.
I only read it when it's controversial because it's just funny to me.
So then the AFC team, you gave me an NFC team in the quarterback situation. You're like, okay, this can be better than people think. You got one in the AFC in that regard?
I mean, I'm excited to watch Joe Burrow play. If you think about his career so far, his rookie year was COVID. And so they had no offseason. He essentially met his team on Zoom, right? And then rushed together. Training camp was chaos for everybody, right? The season was weird. He's had an emergency appendectomy and missed all of training camp 2 years ago. He popped his calf last year in training camp, basically just kind of limped into week 1. And this year he had the wrist, but through training camp, this is essentially the healthiest he's ever been heading into week 1. The guy's played at an elite level every season that he's played. His season has either ended in the Super Bowl or hurt. Those are the 2 ways that he's ended his seasons. That's
right.
True.
Right. Unfortunately, hurt more than Super Bowl.
Yes.
But at least there's a Super Bowl.
I am excited to see what this looks like with two receivers. I don't know what's going to happen with Jamar Chase here, but two
he'll
receivers
get it.
who are
He'll
essentially in a contract year.
Yes.
So you're getting max effort, which was one of the reasons why I believe that Jake Browning was going to succeed.
Yes.
You aren't going to have anybody give up. So I am very excited to see what Joe Burrow does with this sort of wind in his sails heading into the season.
Okay. Jordan Palmer here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.